Hi everyone, it's Natalie. I'm sort of chuckling to myself because I have come to the conclusion that I need to put a little sign on my camcorder that says plug in your microphone. I was doing this video, I got part way through and I went, you're not plugged into your mic. You need to get plugged into your mic. So if you're ever videotaping and you have a microphone, I'm going to suggest, because I need to do it, is you just put a little sign up that says, have you got your mic on? So yeah. Anyway, what are we going to talk to you about today? Well, today we're going to talk about imagination. And I have a number of objects in front of me that I'm going to be showing you. The reason I'm doing that is, one, because I love visuals. Two, I think it will be helpful. And three, maybe it'll be an inspiration to you to look at things a little differently. I know we've talked a little bit about that, but this time we're actually going to have different items to look at, because I believe our imagination is one of our most prized possessions. I feel that the universe gives us ideas and then allows us to expand on it using our imagination. It's as if you were just sitting around and all of a sudden an idea falls into your head and you think, ooh, what about this? What about that? Now, for anyone who's gotten to know me, I make earrings. And I have in my head that I've got to be able to find a way to cut out canvas pieces in earring shapes. And I'm still on the hunt for the proper tools to be able to do that, because when a canvas is painted, my Cricut won't cut things out properly, but I don't have really the proper tools to cut out earring shapes, which is frustrating, but at the same time, it's allowing my imagination to come up with new ideas. And I don't know if you've ever found this, but some days when you come up with an idea, think this would be really cool, but I don't know how to do it. Then all of a sudden the universe sort of goes, here you go. Here's someone who's already doing, here are some products that will help you. Now, one of the things I love to do, whether it's when I'm out in a store like Michael's or when I'm actually at home, and all of a sudden I kind of get an idea in my head and I go, ooh, what about this? How can we do this? And I'm really good at doing that when I'm making cards, because I can embellish them to the 9th degree however I want. So I will sit down and I'll just start playing with colors. I'll play with my stamps. I'll play with my embossing folders. But do you ever sit and just look at something, hold on to something, and give yourself that time to come up with different ideas? So I'm going to show you some things that I've got in front of me here. And I want to see if it doesn't sort of jog some ideas within your own head on the potential of what you could do with the items I'm going to show you. So the first one we're going to look at is this chain that I have. And let me get it out for you. Okay. Bought it at Michael's. The idea was to use it on and around the edges of the earrings I make, because I like bling. Not everybody does, and I can appreciate that. But there's a million and one other uses probably for this. All of a sudden, cards. We could, do something on a card and then trim it with some of this. And I have different colors. I have different thicknesses of this. But I can sit or stand. I don't sit in a store. But stand and look at something like this in a place like Michael's and just see what my imagination comes up with. What does the universe hand me? What kind of ideas can I come up with? And if I've been at home and I've come up with an idea, then I'll go to some place like Michael's and I'll just start wandering around to see if I can find the products I want. Sometimes I'm very fortunate and YouTube or Facebook all of a sudden comes up with something that I hadn't thought of before, and it just adds to it. So I don't know if you've ever sat and just stared at something, but if you haven't and you're looking for ideas on something, then I'm going to recommend that you take the time and pick up an object or not. Like, and when I say pick it up, you could pick it up and just kind of start looking at it, or have it down on your table and just sort of close your mind to everything else but what it is you are wanting to create. So is it earrings? Are you working on something with ceramic resin? Are you working with glass? And come up with different ideas. I know when I started my paint pouring, I figured canvases was the only thing I could do. once I realized I could do 3D objects, my world exploded. I was looking at everything in a new way and went, can I or can I not paint it? If I thought it was something I could paint, doing a paint pour, then I was picking things up. Vases are awesome things. I have and was given a wood duck by a friend of mine, and I thought, why not? Now, you have to be aware that some things are going to be a lot easier to pour paint on than other pieces, but through the want of doing 3D items and specifically vases, I actually built stands that I could place my vase on, center it up, and then pour the paint over it so that it wasn't sitting down on a table. Because if you're sitting down on a table or even a cup, that gets very difficult to move it. Whereas with the stands I built, all of a sudden I just made it so much easier for myself, and I could save up the leftover paint and use it for something else. So it was through the idea of, if I'm going to do a 3D object, how am I going to maneuver it? And then the ideas started coming to me. Well, what if? And we do it this way. And that's how the stands came into play. Now, I don't have one here to show you, but just imagine a piece of wood as your base. You've got a round dowel that, the best idea is to sort of put a hole to place the dowel in, secure the dowel, and then make it whatever height you need to based on the vases. So I had some big vases I was doing. So I probably had, I don't want to say 24 inches, but, give or take. And then I put tape on the top of the dowel, and then I very carefully place my vase on top of that, and then I could do the pour and I could tilt it. So that's where your imagination is going to come into play. You're going to see something. You're going to want to say, how can I do this? And you're going to figure it out, because ideas are going to come to you. And sometimes you'll get those ideas when you least expect it, which is probably the best, because I've spent too much time thinking about things, and then I sort of, get lost in all the thinking. But other times I can look at something and go, I know exactly how I can use this. And then the beautiful thing is it can expand and expand. Okay, so let me show you some of the things I've got in front of me, and just to sort of give you an idea. So this mold here, this is what I consider a fence mold. Michael's had this on sale. I just got it. It was a regular, oh my gosh, normal price, let's do it that way, was $15. I got it for $3. It was actually priced at $9, and I went through the checkout and it was down to $3. So brilliant on that. Now, I don't know about you, but I thought, okay, when I thought it was $9, I was still willing to pay for it, but I thought, what can I do with this? So I have actually, out of polyurethane, made this fence up. My thought, strange as it may be to some people, is to make the fence and then cut it up into pieces and make earrings. Now, again, that may sound like really odd, but it's an idea I have. So, okay, now I need you to use your imagination as you're visualizing this. So have something like this as an earring. Now, some people may look at that and go, are you out of your mind? Yeah, actually I am, and I'm willing to be out of my mind and come up with different ideas. The other thing I have sort of thought about is, what if we cut these into individual, in a mold somehow, right? Because, this will give a little bit, and if you get things out of the mold, early enough, you could twist this and put it into, and again, another far-fetched idea is to make it into a bracelet. You could cut these up, again, because my mind's going to jewelry, into, make it into a layered necklace. I think using it in resin, if you had a deep enough mold, you could put these around the side. I am kind of thinking, so my idea is going with if you were making a cake and you were decorating around it. So that's sort of where that lens, that if we had a mold that was deep enough, we could make this, cut the pieces up, and then place them however we wanted into our mold and make something interesting that way. But yes, I did think earrings. I thought that would be kind of cool. And I was playing with my chrome markers on these ones because I wanted to see how they were going to come out. Now, that lends itself to this tool that I recently got that will allow me to do, I'll call it engraving. So here are the, I don't know what you want to call these, the engraver pieces. All kinds of different shapes in this. Now, my imagination is thinking, how and where can I use this? So I work with ceramic resin, so I want to see how it will work on that. I want to see how it'll work on resin. I have wood pieces. I want to see how it works. Now, these pieces are apparently, there's quite a different list of different things to work on. And let me just, I've got the box here. I'm going to be doing a video on this on my other channel. Does it say? No, it doesn't. But the listing, it has a whole bunch of different things that you can use it for. And people have used it to sort of remove themselves from reality and stress and whatnot and just sit down and lose themselves. Now, the other really cool thing with this set that I got, one is these blades here. They've got notches. I mean, it's basically like a mini saw, and you're not going to see them very well, but I'll bring them up to the camera so maybe you can see them. So that is meant that I can cut through this. They've also given me some stencils to use as well as a guide. So I loved that about it. And then I can also use these for my card making. All right. So my mind's kind of going, what can I do with these? What are the different designs I can come up with? Because I always want to do things differently. So my imagination will have me sitting down, looking at that and going, so what do I want to do? How do I want to do it? And then just playing with it. So stay tuned if you watch my other channel, because I'll be doing a video on that, because I want to see just how well I can do. And again, it's going to be one of those things I'm going to have to practice in order to get it the way I want. But my imagination is also already running around going, what can we do with this? What interesting things we can do to make our pieces more interesting, more unique, what other people aren't doing. So that's why I bought that. Now, let's think about a cell phone stand. Again, imagination working. I don't like, again, anyone who knows, and I'm going to stop using that word, quote, again. I don't like things plain. I had made some ceramic resin phone stands. I don't know if any of you have got this mold. I'm trying to keep it straight. Good luck on that one. So this is sort of how we looked before I did anything. And then all I did was I got my imagination going and I used stamps to cover this. And I have other products that I want to use in order to give it some more depth. I use crayons. I have one that I didn't bring over, but I've used crayons on some of the inside of the flower here. Okay, different colors. I have some powder over there to give it a shine. All through my imagination. Just all through my sitting, looking and going, what can I do? Now, I don't know if you can notice, but on this one, more so at the bottom, it's faded here at the bottom. And that's where I went, oh, that was really unfortunate. I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get the stamping right on it. If this isn't completely flat, I understand why I didn't get it the way I wanted it to. I didn't want to press too hard on it, just in case, because I didn't want it to break. But at the same time, what I thought was interesting, well, how can we fill in where it's missed? Well, that's where my imagination came back into play. And I took this stamp and I put my black ink on it, and then I filled in where the other stencil or the other stamp hadn't filled in. And I thought, cool, like it's an abstract, it's something different. So there's my imagination going, well, I need to fill this in. And it was a matter of, let's keep applying until we get this where it needs to go. As I say, I'm not done with it yet. I want to add some more color to it. The other thing that my imagination has got to come up with is some of the product I've used on that phone stand is water-based. And if I take a product to seal it and use a paintbrush, it's going to smear what I've already done, which is a very, very delicate, very fine. I used a stencil and then I used some dioxide. It's not the ink by Ranger. Distress oxide. That's it. So it's going to blend, and I don't want to mess that up. So now I got to get my imagination. Do I use a spray can sealer on it and then see about putting something on top of that? So again, sitting down quietly, coming up with a new idea, because I want to make sure I seal it so that if someone, we're handling that with wet hands, I have someone who wants to use it in their kitchen. So I sort of imagine their hands maybe being wet. I want them to be able to wipe it down. I need to be able to seal that without messing up any of the pattern that was put on it with the Distress Oxide. So that's something I need to work on. Now, another thing is I make cards. And we've talked a little bit about that. My imagination, it's okay, I need to make this kind of card for this occasion. How am I going to do it? What are the colors am I going to use? I reach out to people and I ask them about the colors they like, which helps me tremendously to then start visualizing what I want to do. So this is something I was playing with yesterday. I have a 50th anniversary coming up at the end of this month. I need to make a card to actually send out to these people for their actual anniversary date, which is in June. So I sit down and I start playing with color. I was playing with an embossing folder, this one to be exact, and did two ways of doing this. So I don't know any of you if you've used embossing folders, but there's an indent side and there's a non-indent side. So I was doing it both ways so I could play and see what I could come up with. Again, my imagination, because I spent some time and I just, I get so far and then I take my piece and I just put it up in front of me and I just stare at it just to see where can I go with this? What colors can I use? What colors shouldn't I use? So on this particular piece, the blue over here, I don't like it because it's too dark. It took over too much and it smeared not as softly as the rest of this card did. Okay. So for me, it was a matter of, I like what I've done. I would do a different blue next time. I want a softer or totally different. It was all a matter of just sitting with it, of just, okay, my imagination, just take me where I need to go. Let's keep playing. I find out what works. I find out what doesn't work. I am able to understand some theories of what I can put together, if that makes any sense. So, I use an embossing folder and then, I might use a stamp. Then I might use my bling because, again, I like bling, but knowing not everybody does. If I'm working with a wooden piece, we have this we can work with, and again, I'm going to have to get very efficient using that and practice using it so that I can get it right. I'll take some random pieces of whatever that I've got laying around in order to do it. I'd almost thought with that, and I want to remember what it's called. So it's an engraving set. The way they say, well, it says polishing pen, but I wouldn't consider it that. That's called an engraving set. That'll make it easier for me. So then I thought about these pieces. So this is the other part of the phone stand, in case you're wondering what this odd looking shape thing is. I wondered about, so I've stamped on here. So what about taking one of those engraving tools and then very carefully outlining it, and then maybe taking a paint or something and going, in the indented spots. I have a moon over here, so let me get that for you as I roll out of place. And I love showing you things because I want your imagination and ideas to start coming to you. So this moon I made, and I think I may have a hard time showing you, but there is a flower pattern on this. I'm hoping maybe you can see it there. And an idea that had been given to me by watching another YouTube channel was taking acrylic paint and running it using a sort of like a squeegee on it, if you will, and taking that paint and getting it into all the grooves so that when you were done, you could see that. And then if you wanted to, you could seal it up with another, like a top coat of resin, whether that be 2-part epoxy, whether it be UV resin, whatever. And then it would shine more. I wish yeah, can you see that? Is that better now? But again, it's, okay, how can I fill that in? What do I want to do? Where's my imagination taking me? What else can I do with this? I mean, this is a fair size moon here, if you will. Now, we could build a stand for this, and I'm not sure if there are stands out there, but we could also then hang strings of something down on this. That's where your imagination comes in. That's where just sitting with something and going, you know what, I've got this thought. I know I can take it different places. I've got this thought. I don't have the tools to do what I need to do. How am I going to do it? And if you just sit with it, I trust that you will come up with an idea, because as they say, if you've got the idea, there's a way of making it happen. There's a way of doing it, of bringing different parts together. And they may be so makeshift and so odd and so basic, but sometimes it's those basic things that just make it that much easier to do. So let me just show you. I want to show you some of the earrings I've made. So these were just wood blanks. Okay, that's the other side. I did both sides differently. And all I did was I did a stencil on here, and then I put some shiny stuff on, Dilutions powder on this, and then I stamped it, and then I put UV resin on top of it. That's it, that's all. But it's the imagination that I used in doing it. And I love that I've got a 2-sided earring. I like the fact that they're both different. I like the fact that my imagination came into play. I like the fact that I was able to layer it in order to make it more interesting. Now let me show you another pair, front and back. So these ones were decoupage. All right. So this side was using a napkin. This side was using a tissue paper, if you will. I added glitter to this side. You can't see it very well. You'd have to be close up. And then because I wanted something a little different on this side and I didn't want glitter, I actually took a glow-in-the-dark paint and put it over top. Now, I don't know how well these are going to glow in the dark. I don't think much, but they may a little bit. I just wanted to put something on them. But that's where I'm talking about bringing your imagination into play and just playing with it, right? You've got an idea, you're not sure where to take it. And that can be for anything. Like you can be talking your gardening. We can be talking what you're cooking. We could be talking cutting grass, right? You want to use your imagination to make it interesting. Again, just allowing yourself some space, knowing how important your imagination is, knowing that if an idea is dropped into your head, then you're meant to do something with it. This, being intentionally creative, my course was given to me. And I think the only regret I have is that I have not been more pursuant of it. But I love the fact that I'm doing something helpful, useful with it now. And I know the more I allow my imagination to expand, the more ideas I will come up with for it in order to, just make it even bigger and better, which is what I want to do. So the other thing, before I end this, where we're talking about imagination and the simplicity of said imagination. So I've been commenting a couple of times that because of the window that I have behind my camcorder, I was getting the light in, hitting my glasses, which was annoying me. I don't know whether it was annoying you or not, but I could see it. It was annoying me. So how have I fixed that? Very simply. I have some cardboard that I've now put, because I can't get my blind all the way down, I've put cardboard in the window. Something simple. I thought, well, how am I going to fix this? Because I know I can't get the blind all the way down. I know I'm still going to get some light in through that window. A simple fix. A simple fix. I've got cardboard, throw it up in the window. I actually took some pieces of paper to kind of, cover some other spots on it. But that's what I'm talking about. using your imagination, coming up with sometimes the very simplistic of fixes for things that you've got going on. So I wanted to talk to you about imagination today. I want you to trust your imagination. I want you to embrace, creative ideas that come to you. And you may not have all, the tools you need. You may not have the whole concept put together. But I trust that if you're willing to sit with it, you will get, ideas coming to you. You'll all of a sudden find something if you're, going through YouTube. And know that you don't always have to go out and buy everything. That I pretty much want to say you could find some of the stuff you need laying right around you. Now, I will admit I'm bad for buying things sometimes. That's all I'm going to say. Because my imagination goes and then I find something and then I buy it. But I have found lots of things around my house that have been used in order to create, like I say, the stand I have for doing my paint pour vases. It's just there are things around that you can improvise when you need to. So, that being said, walk into a store, walk around your house, and just start looking at things and going, oh, you know what? If you're doing like resin work, oh, I could use that. Oh, I've got an idea for that I hadn't thought of before. Oh, we could use this mold and the pieces from this mold could go on these colors. Let's say you're not like me. I swear to God, I've got way too many colors. I can take these two colors to make this color. What's that going to look like? Just let your imagination just sit in it. It's sort of almost like when you are doing something in a slow cooker and the juices are just marinating into whatever it is you've got in it. And it's just, that's all you're doing. You're marinating your idea. You're bringing it to life. I want you to start using your imagination. If you haven't really thought about that too much, but you have something you want to do, just sit with it. Draw on a piece of paper, make some notes, go walk out in nature. You will be amazed at the ideas that will come to you when you're open to it and just allowing the universe sort of to help you out. So I hope you found this video helpful. And I'm seriously going to put a note on my camcorder here to always have my mic plugged in. And what's really frustrating when it does happen, and it's not very often, is when I tape even with my mic on and for whatever reason it hasn't picked up. So that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you're being creative. I hope these videos are inspiring you to get more creative and understand that your imagination is a beautiful thing when you use it to your highest and greatest good and that of others. So carry on, be creative, use your imagination. And again, thanks for joining me on this magical world and journey of being intentionally creative. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.